it's not the prefrontal cortex or the neocortex that does it work. It's the
Yeah.
amygdala. And when amygdala is busy doing its work, none of the things that we have acquired is going
Yeah,
to
exactly.
help us. Like they said, I just want to unspool your brain and see what exactly is happening right here.
Yeah. I think the universe has put up this amazing scenario for me to meet this one person.
It is the butterflies that work, but it's not generally, you're not feeling safe.
Yeah.
Rather, you are feeling anxious.
Not having a male figure has affected your relationship with other male figures you have in your life.
But complete dependency is not something that I'm okay with. How do you restrict yourself from sharing things that are, making you feel personal?
Everyone's parental journey is like, not having this parental journey is different.
So, an outfit decides how womanly you are.
I want to know how it, not having a male figure, has affected your relationship with other male figures you have in your life, be it your friends or relationship. Because for me, firstly it was told to me that you get attracted to certain type of men because you did not have a proper male's love or affection. And it was 4 years back when I was then taking therapy with a person, and that's when she told me that this is what it is. And I was like, oh, okay. And then even after that, I've tried everything to sort of deal with it, right? So I would be like, okay, maybe I should look for someone else, maybe I should talk and go out with someone else, and I would take that effort. But the thing is, even if I take that effort, I know what kind of men I usually get attracted to. So I would go to the opposite of that. So, okay, this is how it is, so I'm gonna do the opposite. So I go the opposite, I go talk to them, I go out with them, but I don't feel anything towards them. It doesn't matter how good looking they are, how good they are as a person, how kind they are, how much I like them. If I like them, I just like them. I don't feel attracted to them. But I still do get attracted to this type of people. So I've come to terms that, okay, this is not going to change because my body and everything is just getting attracted to this kind of person. Maybe in this I can try to find a good person, because the kind of people that I'm attracted to, everyone also tend to have this patriarchal mindset and this dominating thing that I'm a man and we're supposed to be listening to me and all of that. So, but when I also talk to other guys who are like very kind and they do all of those things, like good things, they don't treat you that way and all of that, but I don't feel attracted to them. So I was like, okay, maybe we can find a balance somewhere. Maybe I can find someone who's like this, who I'm attracted to, who's also sort of like dominant and all, but they don't treat you this way. So I'm trying to find a balance and find someone like that. No luck so far, but that's one way it has affected me, and I'm still trying to deal with it, work around it. Was there anything in a way that your this has affected your relationship with other male around you?
It still does, because for me, like you said, I think irrespective of what kind of childhood we had, the way things have been portrayed, all heroes are expressive in movies if you watch. So they are very expressive, they are extroverts, and they are go-getters, and they are dominant. This has been fed to us. So even if your father was not like that, you would want somebody like this. Because this is the hero. And the heroines were all submissive. Things are slowly changing, but then, even then, when some movie is called bold and all that, you see the women just standing up for herself. It's not bold, it's normal.
It's normal.
Okay, but then I still get DMs saying whenever I wear a sari, or just a very non-judgmental comment from our own friends or even from ourselves. As soon as you wear a sari, they'll be like, "Ponnu madri irke." So an outfit decides how womanly you are. All right. And this is not something that I'm fighting against, but I'm aware of this. So even we have this, when you wear jhumka, sari and all that, you get a different feeling as if you're not yourself. You are a redefined version of sunflower oil types. You are redefined to such an extent that you are edible now. It's more like that.
Yeah.
You are saleable. It is more like that. So I feel uh, even when it comes to men, the patriarchal men are being portrayed as heroes.
Mm-hmm.
They pick up fights. They, their way of getting things done is always dominant,
Mm.
and they can express anything that they feel.
Mm.
Or they're avoidant types.
Yeah.
So their value is much higher because they're not going to come for you. They're going to be there for you. Like this Munpaniya song and all, when I see that movie, Surya is so avoidant, and it is in our human nature to, especially in as a child who's been raised as a people pleaser, because as women we were asked to be presentable. When someone comes home, you should be with your coffee and everything. You should always be there for them, whether or not you like them, whether or not that person is a pervert, whether or not they bitch about your own family. You're just there smiling at them, giving them everything. So when you see these avoidant types, you're naturally inclined to get some brownie points from them as well. And then you put all those efforts to get that. But it's not, it is the butterflies that work, but it's not generally, you're not feeling safe.
Yeah.
Rather, you are feeling anxious,
Mm.
and it keeps you running. Your adrenaline is working. It is all there. But I always feel that's because that's the cultural thing that we've been fed to. Me as a person, I have the same problem because my dad was very expressive.
Mm.
We can have conversations about anything and everything. And I like men who are expressive, who can express how they feel, because it takes less effort for us to decode everything what they're thinking. I find expressive men more attractive, or I used to find them very attractive, until I realized what I didn't like about my dad. He was expressive, he was expressing, but he listened to me. But was my mom listened to? How my mom was treated? So probably a partner who's as, I'm not generalizing people. I'm saying if we're only going for this extroversion, expressive types, and if we're not looking at the other aspects, chances are high that we might end up with somebody like my dad, who's too good a dad, but
not good as a husband.
Not good as a husband. And only after my dad's death, my mom is stepping out. She's meeting a lot of her friends. She's going on trips. She's exploring whatever she loves. But I was doing that ever since I was a kid. Why was not my mom doing it? So my dad, who was too good at that for me, he was finding it really difficult with my mom. But my dad has told me that only when I was growing, or me and my sister, we were growing and we were being treated by the society or by the men in our lives, my dad was understanding what he was doing with my mom. But I can't wait for my partner to realize this after 20, 30 years, that yes, sorry, I ruined your life. I didn't give you a chance to grow or, do something that you love. So now I'm very cautious of this. But also because of my sexuality, I think it's not, it's even more complicated because I'm asexual. So for me, I feel attracted, but my attraction is not physical.
It's mental.
It's mental. And now I don't know whether I'm cheating on with somebody because
you mean mentally, like many people.
Yeah, it is even more complicated. So how do I differentiate somebody that I really love with someone who I'm interested in, just like interested as a person? It is even more difficult for me, and it has had an effect in my relationships. So initially I was okay with my initial boyfriends. They were all dominant personalities, so they were like that, and I was okay playing this coy girl. But in my 20s, or probably in my later 20s, when my character was developing, or I think the development stage happens, they say, after 25, 30, the brain matures
prefrontal cortex development
Yeah, so
at
it
25.
happens 25, 30. That is when you get to know about a lot of things that are happening and how you're being treated, and you're aware of a lot of things, and you don't want to pretend to be somebody else because you're developing or you're blooming,
Yeah.
and you don't want to pretend like a rose if you are a lotus. You're accepting yourself as a lotus, and
Yeah.
now you're more cautious than before,
Yeah.
because you don't want to pretend anymore. I think only after 25 I've I've been able to have healthy relationships with the opposite sex. Before that, I think I was completely happy being dependent. I don't find fault in being dependent, but complete dependency is not something that I'm okay with. I am someone who vocalizes the importance of being dependent. I like somebody when they're dependent on me for certain things, and I like it when I could just be dependent on somebody for certain things. So that is fine. But dependent to a level where you lose your own personality or you don't get to meet yourself, I think that is a loss. If you meet an amazing guy, but then you don't get to meet yourself,
Yeah.
that is a huge loss.
Right.
I think that shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think that has an effect, but you're just 25, right? Probably in 1 or 2 years, you will be able to tune it better, and then probably things will happen. But all those foolishness or the stupidity that we do before 25 is very, very important.
Yeah.
To
Correct.
to look back and say, oh yeah, that is what
Yeah.
certified
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all
All
that.
experiences are really important.
Yeah, yeah.
And one very important thing that I want to say is, as someone who has this problem, I used to think that, of course, I think before 25, I mean, I'm still 25, but comparing my 22, 23-year-old version, I was very naive back then. And 18 was like completely naive. So I can see some improvements now that I look back. At one point, I used to think that, okay, I don't have a father. Maybe if I also find a guy who doesn't have a father, maybe I could relate to him and maybe we would have similar personalities. I did not go in search of guys like that, obviously, but I had this thought. I think the universe has put up this amazing scenario for me to meet this one person, and he was not. It was not or dating or something. We just met through some coincidence, and we had to have a good conversation. We happened to have a good conversation, and he doesn't have a father as well, and I don't have a father as well. So we were talking about it, and it was we were more like friends at that point. And one day we were just talking that this is a common thing, right? So I wasn't attracted to him either. So okay, what's the big deal? Let's talk about it. And one day I was just talking to him about his experiences and my experiences. We were just having an open conversation, and that's when I came to realize that I started telling that I get attracted to these kind of men. Like, I get attracted to men who are older than me and who are mature, dominant. And when I see guys my age or even like 2 to 3 years older than me, I don't get attracted to them. I feel like they're all boys. I want men. So I was telling these things, and this is how it has affected me. And I thought not having a father would have affected him the same way. Maybe he's looking for someone similar to me. And then he started opening up, and he said that since he didn't have a father and his mother took all the responsibility, and she was this strong woman, and she was taking care of him and everything. She went to work just like my mother. My mother was also doing that, and his mother was also doing that, and she started taking care of everything. Due to that, he's attracted. No, he's not looking for the mother, but he's attracted to women who are so strong like that. Who's emotionally independent, not dependent at all on a man. So she's just ready to take care of like anything. I'm not saying in terms of financial independence.
I get
it's
it.
like emotional independence.
Yeah.
She's so strong, like she doesn't need anyone. She's like, she can deal with anything. She's that strong. He is attracted to women like that. When I heard that, it was like, wow, what a revelation for me. It's not the same for you and me, bro. And then that's when I realized that, but I am looking for a man exactly like someone with whom I can be a complete baby. I want to turn my brain off and be like a complete child with you. That's the kind of man I'm looking for. So I want to be dependent on you. I want you to take care of everything. All my emotions, like everything. I don't want to be that emotionally independent woman with you. I can be that with the outside world. I've brought up that way. I can go to work. I can handle so many responsibilities. For the world, I'm like that. But with you, I don't want to do that. But when I heard this, I got to realize, okay, everyone's parental journey is like, not having this
Yeah,
parental journey is
yeah.
different.
And also, this will change again.
Mm,
This is not going to be your lifelong pursuit.
mm,
It is definitely going to change, because when you meet a person, probably someone whom you might like, and then you will realize that you don't want to be completely baby either, and you
mm,
will be like, no, there are certain parts of my life which I want to take care of myself, and then probably for you as well, and this will keep changing. This
yeah.
dynamics will definitely keep changing, and after you've finalized, or probably you liked someone enough, then you will grow together and you will become different people anyway, but then you
Yeah.
will be growing together as different people. And as someone said rightly, you don't date different people after you marry. It's more like you keep seeing the different versions of the same
Same
person.
person.
It's
Yeah.
going to be completely different, and they're going to surprise you, you're going to surprise yourself. It is completely a different thing. And also, I feel as kids, we've this thing is something that keeps coming on. You will seek familiarity.
Mm,
Since his mother took care of everything, he would feel more comfortable in a place where somebody takes care of everything, because that's his familiar zone. What is
yeah.
unfamiliar is being with someone who's equally dependent.
Yeah.
That's a very unfamiliar zone, and that is very uncertain as well, because you don't know how to deal with it, because you've learned to deal with somebody like her.
Correct.
And he will definitely learn, or probably experiences will teach him. And similar for us as well.
Mm,
So whatever was familiar with me, for me, expressive guys were familiar. My dad was very expressive. My mom is not as expressive as my father, and my sister is not as expressive as my father, but my father was the most expressive. So I was initially attracted to men who were very expressive as my father. But slowly, when I've started to understand what I didn't like about my father, what I started liking to understand about my mother,
mm,
it gave me space to understand men who were not expressing.
mm,
And I kind of liked their silences as well.
mm,
But it took a time.
yeah.
And when I was in my 25, 26, I was like dancing my way in the world. So I was not having time to listen or sit and observe somebody. I was full on with my life. I think then only later on I slowed down,
Mm,
and I think it happens with age, or probably with experience. And with experience also, I feel, not a similar experience will teach the same thing for two different people, because
yeah.
I had one of my acquaintances lose his father, and I initially thought, probably since I also had lost my father, I thought probably I could connect with him. Just I didn't I don't know him that well, but I just wanted to call up him and then say, hey, I know it's going to be hard. I know I've just been there. So I hope you have it all together. And even if you don't, it's just okay. I just wanted to call and console him. That's when he told me. So after my dad left, my thing was, okay, dad, I know how much you love rain. I know how much you love running. I know how much you love living as such. So I'm going to live like
Mm,
that.
mm,
I'm going to live in a way that you used to live.
mm,
I'm going to, that is my
mm,
tribute to you, to live my life fully.
mm,
That's what my thing was. And my mother was also doing the same. She started enjoying the rains. She started going out in the rain. Before that, she would blame my father. She would be like, "Ulla vanga, why are you doing this and all that?" No, she's going out in the rain because she also realizes, okay, this is what you're missing. We will do it for you. On the other hand, the friend that I told you about, he said due to COVID, there were a few problems. And even though they had enough money, uh, they couldn't do a lot of stuff. So he got pissed off. And then
mm,
his dad had a dream of going in a car. And he said he's going to buy that car
mm,
and he's going to work for that.
mm,
So, same experience. We both have lost our father, and I am pursuing in a way that I could connect with my life much more. He's driven by his dreams of buying one particular car.
mm,
It's nothing is better or worse,
yeah.
but then two different takeaways from similar experience. So that's when I realized, okay, probably you could go through something, some similar to me, but then your takeaway will be completely different.
Yeah.
than mine. That's unique and that's beautiful as well.
Yeah. And one problem I have is that I can't even talk about this with anyone. Obviously, you can't talk about this with your parents, like with my mom and my brother. And I do talk about it with my very close friends, one or two people. And apart from that, even now I feel quite uncomfortable saying certain things because people have seen me like uh, a coach or
Yeah, yeah,
someone who is
yeah.
very philosophical, who knows everything, sort of thing. So it would be very difficult for me to make people understand that I can be the best coach or the best zen in the world and still have problems
Yeah.
myself that I cannot solve. Like, I can help you, I can guide you, I can do anything that you want, but I have my own problems
Yeah, yeah.
and I have to go through with it. I can't even talk about it. When I coach people, no, everyone asks me this one question, which is the first time they connect with me, they ask me this one question: Neethika, you must be so happy, right? You wouldn't have any problems, no? Like, you know so many things. You're giving answers and guidance and support in like this to us, so it must be very easy for you to go through anything. Like, no.
I know.
No. Like, it's a process where if you are going through it, I'm not on your shoes. So, and also I have the required knowledge to
Yeah.
give you the guidance. And I know how to observe you, I know how to analyze you, I know how to ask the right questions. So I give you guidance in terms of that as a coach. When I'm a coach, I'm wearing a different hat. But when I remove that hat, I'm a different person. I have my own issues and I am trying to deal with that the same way. So
Yeah.
I pass on all the information to you. I have the information in my head also. You have the information. You try to put that into your life with your problems, and I
Yeah,
am
yeah.
trying to put that into my life with my problems, and it's going to take a long time for us to deal with it.
Definitely. And when we are facing something, it's not the prefrontal cortex or the neocortex that does it work. It's the
Yeah.
amygdala. And
Mm.
when amygdala is busy doing its work, none of the things that we have acquired is gonna
Yeah,
help
exactly.
us. Amygdala is like, my call.
Yes,
It's my time.
exactly. I
I
tell
want
the
you to get
same.
scared.
Yeah, I tell the same. Like, anytime you feel an emotion, never try to intellectualize it,
Yeah.
rationalize it, or try to understand your emotions in a logical way. Even when I took therapy, my therapist would ask me to label the emotions. So anytime you feel anything, you label it. And initially, I thought that's a good
Mhm.
thing, and I used to do it. And later, I realized that very bad. So when I feel something,
You're not feeling it.
yeah, I'm not feeling it. Already started to intellectualize it,
Yeah.
trying to label the emotion with what feeling is it, what emotion is it
Mhm.
jealousy, is it envy, is it disgust, is it anger? I started to intellectualize it, and I'm trying to be more logical in terms of it, which is not at all
Yeah,
helping.
yeah, yeah.
And when I realized this, I stopped doing that. I feel anything, I don't even give it a name. Like, I feel it here, I feel it here, I feel it,
Yeah.
I don't care, man. You
It's
feel,
only
that's it.
later that you try to feel or think about what did you feel.
Yeah.
Because when you just feel, you automatically will get to know whatever you're feeling.
Mm.
Or even if you don't
It's okay.
get to know, it's still fine. I think I always feel thinking itself is disturbing a lot of things that we are experiencing. Meta thinking is all the more
Yeah.
difficult. I'm like thinking about thinking, like, why? At times, I know it is also running away from whatever you're feeling
Yeah.
because you're trying to, hey, I know whatever you are doing. Okay, Abdina, we are trying to tell ourselves, which is like, it is okay if you know,
Yeah.
but still it hurts. It's more
Correct.
like, when somebody's injecting you, you know they're injecting, but then it hurts.
Mm.
There is no point in telling your mind they are only injecting, it is only good for your body. It is not needed. Right now, it
Right.
is hurting,
Mm.
and that is it. Yeah, I
Correct.
think that is very much needed. Sometimes we get guidances like that, and we have to unlearn it. I think the
Mm.
unlearning is more difficult than learning something.
Exactly.
And unlearning certain things that we've been acquiring recently,
Mm.
uh, through social media or through any other information channel. So when we get it, it is very difficult for you to unlearn it. For me,
Mm.
you wouldn't believe, now I can sit in this couch and talk to you for hours. Okay, because I know this is
Mm.
work, so I'm not consciously thinking about it. But my dad had infiltrated my mind, saying couch produces heat and you should not be sitting in the couch for a very long time and all that. He said, I have a couch at home, but I don't sit on it. Okay, I choose to sit on the floor or I choose a wooden chair. But I'm like, it doesn't hurt for you to sit for a while. But
Mm.
the thing is, you've told me when I was a baby, and it is so strong that I'm not able to unlearn it and just peacefully sit on the couch that I bought myself. So I think the unlearning is pretty much difficult when it comes to learning.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for people to understand what feeling and emotion is,
Yeah.
right? Because when I talk to people, I tell them, they'll be like, Neethika, I know that this breakup is right, is the right thing to do. I know, logically, I know all of it, but I still feel sad. I'm like, bro, it's not this, but this. It's this and this.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
parallel process. Logically, you'll know this breakup is good for you. You're gonna move on and have a better person in your life, and you're feeling sad. So it should be and. So
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
think that if I logically know that this is good, then this emotion should go away. So that's something that recently I've been learning a lot about these emotions, and I
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
understanding how our body keeps the score of it, and how we should never label an emotion at all, right? And I even I've started telling people that everyone, this is a common issue that people have, the people that I talk to have, that as soon as they wake up in the morning, there is a different feeling in their stomach,
Hmm.
especially corporate employees,
Okay.
people who go to work for corporate. And again, corporate culture is a very very
Hectic culture.
toxic,
Yeah.
hectic culture, which is a different topic again. And as soon as they wake up, whether the corporate, mostly corporate employees, but it happens with a lot of people, people who stay at home,
Mm-hmm.
people who are studying, like students, people who finish their studies and looking for a job, they, as soon as they wake up and open their eyes, they feel something in their stomach.
Okay.
And as soon as they feel something in their stomach, they call it anxiety. And when they talk to me, they say that I'm feeling anxiety. Okay, how did you decide that it's anxiety? Because as soon as I wake up, I'm feeling something in my stomach. So if you feel something in your stomach, then that must be anxiety only. No. So I'll be like, I'll ask them few questions like, what time did you sleep? Did you use your phone? How long did you use your phone before? And what did you do as soon as you wake up? Did you look at your phone? Do you have breakfast? What do you drink as soon as you wake up? There are a lot of factors
Yeah.
contributing
Yeah.
to why your stomach feels a
Correct.
certain way. Not in terms of digestion, in terms of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see that there could be a million reasons why that is happening, but if you term it as anxiety, immediately you're confirming that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Then
Yeah.
the confirmation bias also comes in,
Correct.
saying that, oh, this must be anxiety. Okay,
Sure.
everyone else start preparing for anxious anxiety attack, or like the anxious feeling,
Yeah.
and every
Yeah.
other part of your body also acts the same way.
Correct. 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 You're telling your brain that this is how you
Yeah,
should behave right now. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I do tell them that it's not anxiety all the time, but the moment you tell yourself that it's anxiety, then you are telling yourself that this is anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And our brain wants to like reinforce or
Yeah.
confirm on
Yeah.
what we say, and it immediately starts looking into more reasons to be
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anxious, and your whole day goes that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's quite difficult to explain people what feeling and emotion is.
Mm.
And I tell them that, like, sit with that emotion, like let it come. And since it's a mental process, right, it's not a, if you are coming and I say sit with you have to sit with Anandi, then I get you in, I make you sit and sit with you like this.
Yeah.
But when I say sit with your emotions, it's inside somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how do I sit with it? I couldn't get a hold of it. And I usually tell people that spend 15, 20, 30 minutes, sit alone by yourself, close your eyes, and let yourself feel whatever you're
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
Want to cry, you cry. You want to
And your brain is gonna, bring up 1,000 reasons to just get rid of this
yeah,
situation.
exactly.
Let it bring. Don't do
Exactly.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt it because whenever I feel like, okay, so I'm not feeling okay, so I know I would want to take up my phone, call somebody, and just get rid of this feeling, or probably just look at social media and get rid of this feeling. I know right when my brain is giving these cues to just distract myself from something, that's when I know, okay, there's something that I have to give attention to, and my brain is trying to save me from doing that. So what do I do? And sometimes I cave in, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let's just face it. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's better that I don't sit with my feeling right away. I'll just do something about it. I think you can't always control it. But at the other hand, I think with the advent of smartphones, it's becoming much more difficult to sit with your emotions, because you can just get rid of it in a click.
Yeah.
All you have to just open your phone, look at the social media, and you've distracted yourself, and that's it. And you don't know when you're going to come back to that emotion, but then the body is trying to tell you something, your mind is trying to tell you something, but then you're ignoring it. It's more like you're like, no, not now, not now, not now. And then I think at one point, I think it is not going to notify you anymore, and you
Yeah.
will feel more numb.
Yeah.
And that is when it's more scarier.
Smartphones has been causing a lot of
Yeah,
troubles to
yeah,
people.
yeah. I feel the pressure of creating content frequently, because I was such a I wouldn't say that I was completely free, cool about it. I was still finding my own difficulties in doing whatever I was doing. But then I used to read, and then I used to take my own time to create the review or talk about it. And I felt as if there was no pressure. But right now, with the advent of reels, or this short format content across social media, and the kind of distractions that are already there, and to compete with all those distractions, you have to have your content right there. But at the same time, you don't want to keep producing
Yeah.
that frequently, because I know for a fact that if I'm going to produce a content that frequently, I'm going to compromise on the quality, not on the production quality. I know I can get the right camera, lighting, mic, and everything, but the quality of my thoughts, they're not going
Exactly.
to be as good as they were when I was doing the content once in a while. So I feel I can make a lot of shallow contents, but the contents that I really wanted to create, for which I had given up my 9 to 5 job to be here to pursue my passion, I think that is getting disturbed. And certain days it's very, very disturbing mentally as well, because you were in a race which you really didn't sign up for, but then now you are halfway there and you cannot step away from it. But it is a very confusing situation to be in, and I get those feelings somewhere in my body now and then. I'm like, okay, I have to do something about this, but right now I'm not doing anything about this. Yeah.
Exactly. And I felt that too. And I've seen a lot of videos where they say that if you look at your phone first thing in the morning, then the rest of the day you're going to look at your phone only. And I have noticed that very recently that I've started doing it. And as soon as because I sit for breakfast with my phone, and for some reason my left hand goes to my phone and opens the reels, and the right hand is eating. For some reason I do it during the breakfast, and after that it's a continuous process of going back to phone again and again. Before breakfast I'm good. I wake up, I go to any class that I have that I take, and then I come back and I take a shower. Everything is good, but as soon as I start this, and then the rest of the day is the same. So I think it's causing a lot of problems in that manner. And it's also it's not giving opportunity for people to even sit with them by sit by themselves for a minute. It's always available. You take and you open it, and it's not at all solving any problems, causing more problems actually. You see more people being extremely happy, go traveling, having fun, and
you also feel guilty when you want to put up something that you're happy about, because you feel as if, at least I feel as if, okay, am I manipulating people into thinking that I'm always happy, because I'm not. And sometimes I feel so bad, but when I feel bad, I'm not even taking my phone and sharing it on social media.
Exactly. I felt the same too, because I've seen creators. I myself have, since we've been in the creative community, I've seen creators who post stories or posts for the sake of doing it. Like they show as if everything is good. Intentionally they do that, and it has also come out. We've seen a lot of like they get exposed in a manner. We see that happening. So when I'm very happy, genuinely happy, and I post something, I do get this thing that will people think that this is fake? Will people think that I'm not really happy, but like I'm just posting a happy this and all? And that was there with me for a while, and it took time for me to come out of it.
For me, I feel, so people generally ask me, how are you happy all the time? But the thing is, happiness is just one part of it. But when I'm extremely happy, I'm not active on social media. And when I'm extremely sad, I'm not active on social media. But during the other phases, I'm there on social media. So only for this reason, I started talking about my grieving as well, because really wanted people to know that This is what I go through. But when I put up a smiling face, that means I'm smiling that day. I'm not making a content when I'm not feeling happy. I'm making content when I'm happy. So I'm not faking my happiness. On the other hand, I have other feelings that I feel, which I'm not posting it here. I also feel anger. And then I'm not, putting out my anger all the time. At times I do that as well. When I'm really angry, I put up a post saying I'm really angry about or disappointed. But that also makes you question whether you are putting up everything about yourself out there, and is that what you're doing for work? And I'm like, oh, that's exactly what we're not trying to do. But when you talk about books, how do you restrict yourself from sharing things that are, making you feel personal? Because,
Yeah.
I'm probably, you and I are reading the same book, but it's going to affect us in a very different way. So when I'm reviewing your book, I generally feel you could find all the pointers probably in some other websites or some other review. But even if I'm reviewing a book, you could still watch another book review and get completely a different perspective
Yeah.
about the same book. So I feel my perspective matters when it comes to my channel. And to share my perspective, all my emotions have to be given space on media as well.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
And how yeah, correct, books are actually, I think all the books are open to interpretation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Everyone reads it a different way. That's why I never give book recommendations to people who ask me personally. Like, if I read a book, I do post a story or a small not even review, actually. I just post a small thing: I did enjoy this book, I liked it.
Nice.
That's it. I don't give a detailed review on my Instagram stories or posts. But there are a lot of people who constantly keep asking me, give us book recommendations, give us book recommendations. I can't do that. You might not like the book that I like. So recently I've been reading this one book called Conversations with God, and it's such an amazing book. I'm so glad that I picked it up, and it has already brought a lot of changes in me, and I love that book. But if someone who's asking me for a book recommendation, let's say, is an atheist, or who completely denies the existence of any god, or even when we say like consciousness as god, even denies that thing, if I recommend that book to you, you're gonna kill me, you're gonna think I'm stupid. Right? So I usually don't give book recommendations like that. But like you said, it is different for each and everyone. And how I know how reading constantly has affected me as a person. How has it affected you? Because I remember there was I don't know if there was a clash happening in between with your channel, you and some other meme creators. I don't remember exactly what happened, but something was happening and you had put up a post about it, I guess. And I was just opening the comments, and I saw a few people posting that ரொம்ப படிச்சிட்டே இருந்தா பைத்தியம் ஆயிருவாங்க சொல்றது உண்மைதான் போல அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் I saw the comments. So how has it, I mean, I wouldn't say it makes you crack and all, but it does change you too much. So, and with you, we read the similar kind of books, which is very philosophical, very deep rooted. How has it changed you?
I think it constantly is changing me. And see, I question my taste when it comes to the books that I've read before. But I think that is what has got me here. So initially, I never disagreed with any of the authors. I think that was the stage one.
Okay.
Where if something is printed and if it is in a book, you just accept it because it's written. And it's written by somebody who's taken time to write, a writer, or probably it's sold million copies. And the public perspective is such that the book is a bestseller, which means it has helped a lot of people, and you're supposed to love it. And just like as a child we were told to love something that everybody loved, it was difficult initially to just love every book. And then slowly there is something in you that tells you, no, it is not something that you like, or you probably disagree with the statement. And slowly the second phase comes where you have disagreements with the author. And the third phase for me was like, I disagree with you, but I respect you for something else. Because previously, if I disagree with you, I'm not going to like your work. I'm sorry. You're completely different from me. I'm sorry. Bro. It was more like that. It's more like a cancel culture. When I don't like something that you say, I'm just going to cancel you out. Or like you said, if you're going to give me a book like Conversations with God, I'm like, hey, no, what are you reading about God and all in this age? And then I'm going to just block you out. Then came a phase where okay, I don't like the thing that's being told, but what is it that you like about this book? You tell me now, because now I'm more interested in knowing, okay, somebody is reading it from another perspective. This is adding something to their life. It is not adding anything to me, or not directly. So I consume the same book and I get nothing from it, is what I feel. But you've consumed the same book, but you're telling me something about it. So now I'm more focused on that as well. But also, I'm in a phase where I'm not forcing myself to read something that my mind is saying no, you don't agree with it, or probably even if you don't agree with it and you still want to know, this is your take on it, and you should be respecting yourself for that. Because in a lot of literature, the objectification of women is so strong.
Yeah.
And I thought I should be accepting in that in the name of poetry. I think that was poetry. Probably it is for a lot of people, but I think I'm not able to take it, either as a woman or as a person who thinks I'm asexual. Probably this is aversion to it, because I'm averse to sex, but I'm trying not to label myself as an asexual person, because I don't want to put myself in a box, because then I wouldn't even know whether I'm not an asexual person. So I don't want to put it, but right now I could associate a lot with asexuality. So for me, probably that aversion towards sex has stopped me from reading a lot of literature that involves good sex as well, which speaks good amount of intimacy, is also something that my mind blocks me from reading all those. But it was my constant effort to know about physical intimacy, because if you had seen, you would find that I have read a lot of books on the science of physical intimacy, because I can understand the science. I am only not able to understand the feelings behind it. I don't crave for it, or I don't get that thirst, or sexual thirst. So that is something that I'm not able to feel. So even in literature, it is very difficult for me to feel. What are you talking about that?
I read smut like left and right.
So for me, I can't recommend you those books.
Yeah.
See,
Even I can't recommend smut to someone else, you can't recommend that to me.
See, but the thing is, now I'm understand. Okay, now I'll at least learn the science of it. Okay, so that I will understand when somebody says or talks about it, or talks about literature which is about it. So this is slowly happening. Probably my aversion has also come down a bit from how it was before. Previously, I can't even talk about it. I can't even listen about it. I've had friends who wouldn't crack an A joke in front of me. So it has been like that. From that, I'm able to talk about it, and I've done videos about it. It is not to prove to anybody, but for myself to see how far you can go. So now I respect physical intimacy, because I've had this conversation with my dad as well. My dad has told me, basically, he said, physical intimacy is something that you get, that gives you some sort of a different feeling. Like, it is the peak of intimacy, is what he believed. And he told me, I'm wondering why you wouldn't experience it. Then I was telling him, I've never liked chocolates when I was a kid. I've never liked cakes when I was a kid. So it is not completely new to me that I'm not liking something which everybody or majority of the people like, or which is very just natural. So I have come to terms with it. But I think books have helped me feel that way, because I read a book on asexuality. I read books on Kama Sutra. I've read books dealing with different perspectives on physical intimacy to make me understand, okay, what politics could happen. Because I've read about rape, which is primarily a sexual thirst or a power struggle that's happening. So I'm getting to see or know about it, even if I can't experience it. So I think, in a way, books have shaped me as a person who doesn't, just define things as such. For me, anything as such cannot be defined in a very simple term. For me, it is all gray. It is all complex. Because I used to, or still do, a show which is about roasting movies. part of me regrets it, part of me enjoys it, part of me feels guilty about it, part of me is angry
Mm.
on myself. I'm feeling all these emotions when I do that show. I still don't know why I don't stop that show. I still don't know why I should stop that show.
Mm.
So you can't just, I can't just generally put myself in a box right there. Do
Yeah.
I enjoy roasting movies? I don't know. Will I stop it? I don't know.
Mm.
So I think that's how I've understood myself, that sometimes it's okay to not have a definitive answer. And with books, I think I get to experience things much before it happens as well.
Mm.
Because when my dad was going through this cancer and the diagnosis was happening, I was reading Kite Runner.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
So consciously, I was not thinking about my dad's death, not at all. But I think it was there,
Mm.
and I was not letting it out. I was
Mm.
not bringing it to my conscious level to think about it.
Mm.
So I was reading it while my dad was going through diagnosis, and in that book, the protagonist's father is diagnosed with cancer, and he's in the final stage, and I was crying in the hospital because I think I was preparing my mind to what was about to happen.
Mm.
So I think books generally also prepare me in a way
Mm.
which I will not consciously accept.
Mm.
Even if I'm envious of anybody, or if I'm feeling at a loss, or if I'm feeling hopeless, even if I'm not accepting that to myself, I think through books I see
Mm.
that, okay, this is what exactly you are actually going through, and you're just not accepting it. It's okay, but this is how it feels.
Mm.
So if at all it happens, you know how it feels. Yeah.
Right. Correct. Right. And for me, it has, like you said, this beginning journey is similar. I used to read all the cliche books,
Yeah,
and
and then you're like,
yeah, exactly. At that point, yeah, when you start reading books, you get this ego boost.
yeah.
I'm reading books.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a reader. Come
I'm a reader.
on.
Yeah, I like, am I better than everyone? Like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, I went with the similar books. Everyone starts with like Secret, Robin Sharma, Napoleon Hill, everything, all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
cliche
yeah.
ones. And but again, I can't blame it, because that those are the books that got me into this. And at that point in time, if I've read the books that I'm reading now, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have gotten into reading at all.
Correct.
I couldn't understand anything at that point. So at that point, though, I understood those books and it helped me, so I started them. And I moved mostly in self-help. I do read a mix of both fiction and non-fiction. And in fiction, obviously, a lot of smut. I do like a lot of smut, a lot of slow burning billionaire romances, and all the enemies to lovers, cat and mouse, everything. I don't leave everything, and everything involves a lot of smut, so it's amazing. And on the other hand, when it comes to fiction, is actually quite rare. I don't read it very often. And again, in fiction, I do read Murakami and Khaled Hosseini and all of them. So like the philosophical fiction also we go with. I read it often, and when it comes to non-fiction, I think fiction is, for me, is more like for an that feeling something, right? When I know that if I read a Murakami book, I'm going to feel something. He's going to punch me left and right and leave me with a lot of trauma. I know that. So when I want to feel that, when I'm ready to feel something, to be like punched on the face with some emotional shit, I take a Khaled Hosseini or this type of like classic philosophical fictions. And when I just want to chill and have some fun and like be in a jolly mood, like have fantasy sort of thing, then I go for some romance books, fiction romances. But apart from that, majority of my time goes in reading self-help books. And when it comes to self-help books, it also plays a major role in my career as well. So I also teach people about it, so I have to spend more time. And initially I was when I started reading, I was on this, I think, on this treadmill of reading. Like, I have to read every day. So I think I just read every book I could get my hands on, everything out there. I would just Google it and read everything. And it was like constantly consuming information. And I did this for like around or 80-100 books, I guess. I constantly kept reading, and it did help me to gain enough information about this whole personal development industry and all of that. But after that, in self-help itself, I've understood my area. I see myself more involved when it comes to spirituality, consciousness, collective consciousness, the miracles of human body and mind and all of that. So now I read only books related to that.
Okay.
Even in self-help, I only
Nice.
read books related to that. And I've been digging deep into all of that, and that's how I recently started this Conversations with God book. And the funny part is, if I've started this Conversations with God at least like 6 months back, I wouldn't have understood that book.
True that.
Now I think I picked it up at the right time, that when I read it, I'm able to understand each and everything that was written there, and it feels so surreal for me to read it. And I've also come to a point where now when I read, like, I can leave all the fiction aside because that is not that special for me. But all these books that I'm reading, I'm carefully choosing it and reading it. And when I do that, if any time now I pick up a book, it feels like a divine experience for me.
Okay.
I feel something. It's so good for me to read. Even if I'm reading for 10-15 minutes, the whole environment feels different for me. And it I think reading has become more like a spiritual experience for me. Constantly doing this.
For me, like you said initially, the tool பைத்தியம் பிடிக்கிற மாதிரி ஆகுமான்னா, I think, yeah, it is not always a spiritual experience or a divine experience for me. Basically, because, you know, I take a lot of books that are contradictory to each other. So obviously, I would have bought someone's perspective already, and then now I'll be struggling with another perspective. And sometimes when people say பைத்தியம் பிடிக்குமான்னா, I think when you spend a lot of time in your head,
Yeah.
அப்படிதான் இருக்கும் அது.
Yeah.
Okay, and every philosopher அதான் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க.
Exactly.
That has been the thing. And spending time in your head could be an awesome experience because you don't have to get out and do anything.
Yeah.
And it is not easy as well. I like it when I read a book and then I do all the thinking in my Monday for a while.
Yeah.
And I have, இப்போ ரீசெண்டாக தான் I've changed my room in such a way that இந்த படிக்கிற ரூமில் I have no other furniture. Like there's a table and chair where I sit and read. Other than that, there's the entire room to walk. Initially I had my bed also there so that I'll lie down and read and all that. But now to just have those thinking moments, I have designed it in such a way that as soon as I read a chapter, I keep walking. And then I keep thinking about what I read, what I agree, what I disagree. Initially when I consumed a book, I was just listening. I was only listening to the author. Now I feel as if I'm conversing with the author. So I think that is one way of, I think the next phase of reading to me was that, because now I have disagreements with the author as and when I'm reading. It's not even just after reading the book. So I'll be like, but you said this, but why that? And sometimes I'm like, are you sure? Because I think I read somewhere along the same lines in a different light, so I'm going to check that out. Or sometimes as soon as I read a chapter, I try to see why this author has written the thing in this order, or why the author has emphasized this thing again and again. So what is this author trying to say? I'm just trying to understand the mindset of the author, which I was not doing as a reader when I started. I wouldn't think about what the author thought. I would only be, you were telling me this, I am listening. I was in that mode. Now I'm more like, okay, you're telling me this, but why are you telling in this way or this order, or what is the objective of this particular chapter? Basically, are you selling yourself, or are you trying to emphasize on one perspective, and you're trying to just give me enough facts for me to buy, or are you really convincing me with the right kind of information? So I think this is only now I'm able to understand the excerpts of the book much better than before, because before it was just having it. Now it is more like tasting it. You get to taste all the flavors, all the mindsets of the author.
I think reading a book is a different experience for each and every person, right? That's why, like I said, I don't recommend books, but I would obviously encourage everyone to read books. I get very excited about libraries and I'm very
Yeah.
happy that we have libraries, a lot of libraries in our state, where you can just go and grab a book and
Correct,
read.
correct. And I'm
So
always curious about
yeah,
readers
yeah.
because I'll be like, so
Every
what do you
reader would
know?
be, yeah, every reader would be different, no?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
learn something from each and every reader. Like, even if, like, we read the same books, but look how you are and look
Yeah,
how I am.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we learn so much about each other. And when I see fellow readers, I get so curious. Like you said, it's with you as well. I'm very curious to have, I wanted to have this conversation with you. So curious, like, okay, what's gonna be the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same
conversation?
here. Yeah. When I see readers, and especially those who have read a lot of books for a longer time period, especially those books that I have not read,
Hmm.
I'll be like completely curious. I mean, what are you thinking right now?
Hmm.
Because rest of the times, and also with people who have read a lot of books, no, I don't think they even speak as much as I do.
Hmm.
uh, they're more like they will be only noticing what you are talking and what
Hmm.
are you telling. It's more like that. So
Yeah.
I'm more curious, okay, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah.
As and when I'm blabbering all this, what's
Yeah.
going on inside your mind? I'm, like they said, I would just want to unspool your brain and see what exactly is happening right here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, when you meet a reader, or I think once you start reading, the natural next process is writing.
yeah,
So any reader you meet would be writing.
right.
Writing any sort of things, but they will be writing, right? So when you become a writer also, you become more keen and aware in terms of listening,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So they listen very well. It's like the English thing: reading, writing, listening, speaking, and all of that. And for most people, I think it comes to the stage of speaking, where they do tell their opinions
Yeah,
out, but some people might not. But I think most of them do. They either become a speaker, they either become a writer, and they publish their books,
yeah, yeah.
and they speak through that. So they also are good listeners. So when you talk to a reader, more than talking, they would just ask questions
Listen.
and keep listening to you.
Correct.
That's another great thing, that even I have developed my listening skills too much after I've started reading books. I observe people so much. We give attention to so much details,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because in book, he breathed is will be for 30 pages. 30 pages
Yeah,
just
yeah.
explaining how he took a breath.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we give a lot of attention to details. So I think, anyways, it's a unique experience for people, but I would highly recommend people to start
Yeah,
reading
yeah. I
books.
think it's just a different media
Mm.
to be there. Like just like we are all on social media. I
Mm.
think it's a medium where we can all connect
Yeah.
and share something. And it doesn't matter whether or not we've read a lot of books. It's if you have experienced this essence of reading,
Yeah.
I think that's something worth connecting to. And even if you're not reading anymore, you can still talk to people who are reading and then get to know a lot
Mm.
through them.
Mm.
So I met this hero called Manikandan, actor called
Yeah, yeah.
Manikandan.
Mm.
So he reads a lot
Mm.
and he watches a lot of movies. I don't watch a lot of movies.
Mm.
And once when I met him, I was just listening to him. And I was like, okay, this is 50 books talking. Okay, this is 100 movies talking. So
Yeah.
I can't watch all the 100 movies that you're suggesting
Mm.
or the 50 books that you are suggesting, but I can listen to you
Mm.
and I'm going to get the crux of, all those things.
Yeah.
So I was at loss of words because, he's read books which I've never read.
Mm.
So I was completely listening to somebody who's read books which I've never read, and he's telling me all those things which I've never heard of.
Mm.
And it was too wonderful to, talk to people who have completely a different reading taste as well. Because with us who read similar books, we find a community.
Yeah.
With them we find community plus inspiration because okay, now I want to do that as well, I want to read that as well. Or sometimes I know I will not be reading a lot of history books because I'm
Yeah.
not too much into history. So I like people who read a lot of history
Mm.
books because
Mm.
I can just listen to them
Yeah.
and get to know. I can at least
Mm.
experience books like that.
Mm.
So I think in a way I like readers who generally don't read the kind of
Mm.
books I read as well. So
Mm.
I think that
Mm.
is a good connection to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And people say that if you read a lot, you become crazy. But what we read comes from an author, and you have to be absolutely insane to be writing a book.
Yeah.
You can't be like every other person and write a book. You can't even think the kind of chaos that goes inside Murakami or Khalid Hosseini's mind, right? You have to be absolutely insane and crack and crazy to write that types of books.
I don't have the guts to write yet.
Me too.
I'm like, okay, now I'm a good reader, or I just continue being a reader.
No, we should say we are not crazy enough yet to write.
Yes.
We are not. We cannot think scenarios or stories like that. We cannot tap into people's emotions like that, and we have to be crazy enough to do that.
And that cannot be done when we are continuously producing content like this. At least when I read about artists, yes, they were doing this 9 to 5 jobs and all that, but their creative mind was reserved for this. Yeah. Okay. Now, if I'm going to produce reels, which again comes into creativity, but not a greater form of creativity yet, you can still produce reels which are of higher intelligence. Yes, but it takes time, and if that's our pursuit, we would definitely do. But if it's not that, we're going to be spending all our creative energy on multiple stuff, that we will not have enough to spend it in something that is great. Yeah, like you can't paint by just doing something else. It's not possible. You just have to have your creative focus here. And also you will have this FOMO, because you have the rest of the world completely spinning and doing something else, and but we'll have to find a way. To become crazy or enough to write. I always have this dream of uprooting myself from here, going elsewhere, shutting my doors on internet and everything, and then just be myself and to see whether I want to create. It's not even about I want to go there and start writing. I want to go there, sit with myself, and see whether I have that in me to write.
So it takes a lot of craziness to be creative. And let's wish we attain that level of craziness.
And also it takes a lot of boldness to be crazy.
I think we need everything. We need courage. We need courage, and then we become crazy, insane. We will not be able to relate with anyone else in our life, and everyone will start calling us like, "Loose mar taniya pesiyit irukka." Exactly. But that's what's helping me create. That's what's helping me write. So let me be crazy. Right?
Hoping to be crazy.
To more craziness. Okay. See, that was a very fruitful conversation, right?
True.
I think we had a great time today. I had a great time today. It's very rare to find another reader and have this kind of conversation. Thank you so much for accepting my invite. And
thank you so much, Neethika. I think it was due for a very long time, and I hope it was a good conversation. Like you said, I had a good time, and I'm glad that we made it. We didn't keep pushing it. At least we were crazy enough to make it happen. Yes. So I'm so glad to be here.
I hope we provided a lot of value through this.
Yes.
Let's do more. We hope we could do more crazy content like this. Right.
And all the best for your podcast as well.
Thank you.
Because it takes a lot of I would say a lot of energy to sit and listen to people. Okay, and
I'm used to it.
I know it's part of your work. See, especially when it's part of your work, you don't have to do it after work as well, but you're trying to do that. So yes, so kudos to that.
Thanks.
Keep doing it. And I love the way your questions were, thrown to me. So I had a very good time.
Yes, and I hope the book show continues down the line. I know recently I did see a lot of videos, and the traction was quite less, but because the content was very deeper, and not a lot of people can understand that type of content, but it should stay there. For people, when they're ready, they can come to it. It has to stay there. So all the very best for that.
Thank you.
Every other endeavor that you have.
Thank you so much, Neethika.
Bye everyone. See you with another episode.